steps up. Ricketts is at the high point. Jones. Aromaterio has a lane. Nicholas Aromaterio, the shot. Scores! Holy jumping! The Italian stallion puts the puck in the back of the net. Mamma mia, Nicholas Aromaterio! So to keep it in and does. Callum Jones for Potts. At the blue line, kept in by the skate of Thomas Maya. Maya. Down low on the half course, he swings out in the slot for Potts. Kyle Potts has it, hangs on, now he shoots, scores! Holy jumping! How do you do? Kyle Potts puts the puck in the back of the net. Blades block that shot, and coming the other way is Alton McDermott. He's in on the breakaway, scores! Holy jumping! His grandfather, Paul Henderson, must be ecstatic about that one because Alton McDermott just scored his first career Buckland Cup final playoff goal. Has been pulled. The Dukes are in the Oakville zone. Zone salvage. Swung that around. The Blades are trying to tie this puck up. It goes into the corner. The Blades have a chance to get this out. Lions will tie it up. 10 seconds. Gilmore has it at the point. It's in. Tips. Just wide. 7 seconds. It's back in the corner. Ewing's back in. 3, 2, 1. The Oakville Blades are champions. Holy jumping. Blades win. Blades win. Blades win. The Oakville Blades are Buckland Cup champions.
You're watching Mamma Mia! This is Fire Talk with Nicholas Fiore. Welcome back, everybody, to episode number 25 of Mamma Mia! This is Fire Talk. I'm Nicholas Fiore, the Oakville Blades play-by-play broadcaster, and joining me on this edition of the episode are 4 of my colleagues in the Ontario Junior Hockey League. We have Joe Montesano in my top left here of the screen. He is with the Stouffville Spirit and the Collingwood Blues now. We'll get to Joe a little bit more. We have my colleague, my partner, Matthew Ahmadzai, the color commentator for the Oakville Blades. We have Alan Corkum for the Georgetown Raiders. Was there when they won the Buckland as well a few years ago. And then at the bottom of the screen, the Mississauga Chargers play-by-play and the Milton Menace, PA, Matthew Caruk. Boys, thanks for coming on. This is the special edition of the OJHL Broadcasters Roundtable. We'll start with Joe at the top left. Joe, thanks for coming on. 13 years in the OJHL. You're the owner and operator of Fedora Films as well. Camera for Collingwood, play-by-play for Stouffville. Obviously, everyone, I would say, knows you as the Markham Royal guy. So many years there. But thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thank you. No, thanks for having me. I do camera and play-by-play same time for Stouffville, so it's fun.
There you go. And obviously, Alan, thanks for coming on as well. I know you're taking your time out of your lunch break from work. Obviously, I know work is a prime priority now during COVID-19, but I appreciate you coming on. 5 years with the Georgetown Raiders, Alan, as well as co-host of OJHL Ringside, Your TV, play-by-play in between the benches as well for Your TV and Kojiko. So appreciate you coming on.
Appreciate the opportunity to be on here, Nick.
And Matt, obviously, we've worked for 6 years together. 2 years with the Brampton Bombers, 4 years now. Our 4th year, wow, with the Oakville Blades, Buckland Cup, Dudley Cup champs. So appreciate you coming on. I know you work about 6 days a week, but appreciate you coming on.
Yep, not a problem, man. Anytime.
And Matthew, at the bottom of the screen, all by your lonesome there. But hey, last but definitely not least, man, you have a lot of hats as well. Basically, as Joe and as Alan and as well as myself and Matt, Mississauga Chargers play-by-play, Brampton Beast PA, Milton Menace PA, Mimical Lacrosse PA, as well as JVI Video Crew. So a couple of you guys doing camera as well here with Joe. So appreciate you coming on.
Hey, thanks for having me. Hat's not as schwanky looking as Joe's, but I got to wear lots of them to keep up.
Hey, that's why he's Fedora, man. Hey, he's the Fedora guy, Joe Montesano.
That's the same reason to wear hats as you. You should wear a hat too. I'm losing my hair.
I hope the glare's not too bad. It's just
It's all good.
yeah, no hair and makeup today, boys.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. They're off because of COVID. Listen, I appreciate all of you guys coming on. I wanted to get this going. So for everyone watching, hope you enjoy it. We're going to be focusing of basically the entire Ontario Junior Hockey League, the return to play the divisions, a little bit of last year, a little bit of this year. What can we expect? Is there going to be a season? Personal preferences. We're going to touch upon it in full length and in depth because, these are the guys to do it. If so, obviously representing 5 teams, I guess I would say, here on this Zoom chat episode. So I appreciate you all coming on. Let's start with, the South Division. We'll go down with Matthew. We're going to touch upon all the divisions. Obviously, Matthew, you're in there with Mississauga as their play-by-play. The Brampton Admirals, Toronto Patriots, St. Michael's Buzzers, who Joe knows very well, having a ring with them. Show it off. There we go, buddy. The Toronto Junior Canadiens and the North York Rangers. Some of those teams struggled last year. Some of them have good seasons. But they didn't look like they were going to make a push to the end of last COVID season, as it looked like, maybe Wellington and Oakville had a chance. North York was in the mix. The Patriots fell off a little bit. What can you maybe expect if the season gets going from the South Division, Matthew?
Well, I think, the South Division, we've basically seen, North York, we kind of know they're going to be in the mix. JRC, we know they're going to be in the mix like they are pretty much every year. Even the Patriots, North York loses Eli Schiller to Wellington and only 4 graduates. So Eli Schiller, definitely the biggest name there. The Patriots are losing 8 grads. Jackson Alexiev going out to BC. That's going to be some big losses for them. 7 grads out of JRC with Mattiacci as well going to Markham and 3 other players, including Ryan Tverberg, to BC. These are teams that always seem to find players. So I don't know that I'm necessarily worried for those teams because they should be around. But, those are major gaps to fill. As far as the Chargers go, we lost our captain in Devlin Shanahan. Second line center, Josh Bifolchi, if you can call it second line. Sheldon Nunez, good, gritty, bit of a smaller forward, but down in the lineup, he was fantastic in a bit of a smaller, maybe third, fourth line. Matthew Drummond, Matt Keating, part of our leadership team. So, a lot of players leaving this division, except for maybe the Brampton Admirals, who I had read. The ownership group there has now purchased the Caledon Golden Hawks, Junior C, Brampton Bombers, and the Admirals will be playing as Brampton, I believe, both of those up in Caledon. So, the big thing for this division is whether or not there's going to be games played, because I know in Mississauga, pardon me, a lot of the rinks were actually shut down, and they have been for quite some time. So practice time hasn't been there. And I know the same for a few of the Toronto teams, but being up in Caledon, perhaps Brampton can get that jump and maybe the edge that they sort of need. I know Mississauga and Brampton have kind of been near the bottom of that division. I'm on the bottom of your screen. Perhaps it's fitting, but I'm expecting, besides those 5 names that I mentioned, Matthew Sopp is another one I wanted to mention from Mississauga. He signed a commitment to the Kitchener Rangers. Whether or not the OHL gets off the ground, we'd love to have him back. But, hey, man, I'm expecting him to be on the scouting list in a couple of years. He was that good for us as a 16-year-old. But, if Brampton / Caledon, whatever they call themselves, get that run where they can get practicing, get playing maybe a couple games, perhaps they can, get something going here. But I'm not that worried about the teams near the top. And then it's just a matter of who can get that chemistry and get going out the gate. Should we get started here?
Isn't Caledon considered PO region right now, though? Aren't they in lockdown as well?
Yes. So what I was about to say there is Peel region is Brampton, Mississauga, and Caledon, including Bolton. And then York region, Toronto obviously is Toronto Patriots, St. Michael's, Junior Canadiens, and North York. So as we stand, Peel and Toronto teams cannot even go into an arena. They are closed. They're on lockdown. So the whole South Division, let's just put it in the nice words, is not in a good spot. And that also leads into, the West as well, right? Where they're not in a decent spot either because the likes of Georgetown, the likes of Oakville, Milton, Burlington, they're only allowed 10 skaters on the ice. Not 10 players, 10 skaters overall. So that's what? 8 players, 2 coaches doing drills. So the West and the South are in big trouble. And obviously we'll get to the East, which they're having a field day, and they're loving hockey right now, if you want to put it that way. But it's true, right, Matthew? You know, those teams in that division, the South, it's basically no holds bars for them.
Yeah, it really is. And I should clarify that, you know, everything we hear on the news is, you know, Brampton is blowing up in terms of case numbers and so on and so forth. Caledon has actually been okay. I feel like they're sort of lumped in Peel because that is their region. However, you know, case numbers were never that high. There's not a huge population up there, but, you know, perhaps that move they can work something out. Dave Arsenault, that's up to him and his crew to figure out. But, you know, I think it would be unfair to that community and that team to lump them in with what we're seeing in Mississauga and Brampton, because Caledon is just not on that level. But as you do say, I appreciate your clarification there. It is Peel region, and that's the way the government's designed it. So we'll leave that up to them.
And it is up to the government, right? It's not up to us. Definitely not. And it's not up to the OJHL or even Hockey Canada. It's up to the Peel, Toronto, the health units in order to say, okay, go ahead, right? And obviously that leaning into the West Division, Alan and Matt, obviously the 4 cities in Halton is Oakville Blades, Georgetown Raiders, Milton Menace, and the Burlington Cougars. And then there's the Brantford 99ers, which is very interesting because they really can play, I think, for the most part, if they truly want to, but they're stuck in a division who can't play right now. We'll touch upon a little bit here, Alan, with the likes of, for yourself, Georgetown, but just the whole division, both of you. With Alan, you know, the Georgetown Raiders, what have you seen from them, and what could you see that can come out of this division if, obviously, we get going?
Yeah, as we were talking about the regions right now, the Halton is in red, and I think it's kind of unfair to be in red for Halton because they're averaging maybe 50 cases a day. Usually it's under that, and I think today as we talk, it was like 43. So, I mean, they're not getting the numbers that Peel and Toronto are getting, but unfortunately Halton's in red, and as you said, Nick, there's only 10 people out on the ice per time for practice. I spoke briefly with Scott McCrory, the coach GM of Georgetown, via text yesterday, and he was saying they have 9 players and 1 coach on the ice 3 times a day for sessions. So basically they split up all the players to have skates in that to see what's going on. As for the team this year for Georgia, I think it's going to be the same as the last couple seasons. They're probably going to be battling for a playoff spot. They've got a couple of key additions. Dennis Golubachev came over from the Pembroke Lumber Kings. He played a couple of years ago with Burlington. Also had a cup of coffee with Kingston of the OHL. And they also picked up Oliver Troop from Trenton for goal after they traded the reigning goalie of the year, Nathan Torquia, along with the runner-up to Harrison Idris of Oakville for MVP. He went to the Summerside Capitals. So Troop had some good numbers last year in Trenton once we get playing. But that's going to be the key is when are we going to be playing? Because a lot of teams, like I said, as Oakville, as you cover, you and Matt, and then Burlington and Milton can only have 10 people on the ice right now. So we'll have to see what happens.
And Matt, obviously, us with the Oakville Blades, we know the pickups that are made, and everything's public now. For Oakville's perspective, Matt, though, the Blades are looking good, right? They brought some guys in. They brought a few former NHL players' sons into the mix, but it's all about now connecting and playing and you know, working together and winning together. If the season gets going, what do you expect from the Blades this year?
Well, what I expect from the Oakville Blades, they got to come out firing, really, to start. They got a lot of young guys coming in, you know, and see how they react to Israel's and Ricketts graduating, moving on, Barber getting traded. You know, he was a big piece for us in our run when we won the Buckland and the Dudley, you know, taking over as the number 1. And, you know, just see how Jamie Storr does as well, you know, getting the players that he wants in as well. He brought all these guys in, right? And letting the likes of, you know, Luke Chor going, Garvey going, and all these guys. So it's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen here. And also, we didn't even mention Buffalo. They're not even going to be in the mix this year with us, and they're in our division. So it's going to be interesting to see how this division is going to pan out.
it is unfortunate for the Buffalo Junior Sabres, obviously, have to take a leave of absence for this season, if there is a season or not. But not because, we're with Oakville, Matt, and maybe Alan can even double down on this, but if there was a season, I would probably say the Blades come first place out of the West Division once again, with the likes of maybe Georgetown or Burlington hunting them, don't they?
I would think so, yeah. Nick.
Go ahead, Alan.
I was going to say, yeah, I think you'd be looking at Burlington probably being the closest competition, with Buffalo taking the year leave. I think Burlington have done some strong veteran moves. They made a couple of trades as well, and they got a veteran goalie. I think his name is Lagenanger from the BCHL to come in to replace Max Wright. And I think they have some good mix there to see. And I think they'll challenge Oakville, probably neck and neck again for first place. But Buffalo not being there, that's probably going to be good for Burlington this year if they ever do have a season, because Buffalo always seems to be an arch nemesis of Burlington in the playoffs, so maybe they can get over that hump if they play somebody other than Oakville in the first round. Yeah, I think Georgetown and Milton and Brantford will battle for the other spots, probably be a three-way race for third, fourth. I'm not sure how the playoffs are going to pan out. He spoke the other week with Barry Savoy, the commissioner, about maybe how it's going to be. It might be every team in the playoffs. It might only be a few, so it's hard to say what's going to happen, but I think everybody's got to come out gunning right off the bat if we do get a season of 25, 30, 35 games.
Yeah, I spoke with Marty, and he said maybe 30 to 36 game season, and the playoffs are going to be best of 3. And like I said, I'm going to probably continue to say it because it's true from my unbiased opinion, obviously, with meeting with the Blades. I actually believe that works out even better for the Oakville Blades. Shorter games, getting it done. But then you see what you saw in the NHL bubble, where Montreal beat the Pittsburgh Penguins, right? Yep. Shorter series. You have a goalie that steals the show, then you're in business, right? So if the season gets going, it will be very, very, very interesting. Moving forward to the North Division, Joe Montesano, obviously now you've been on 3 teams overall in the 5-team division there. So you know your stuff in that division. Obviously the Collingwood Blues, the Stouffville Spirit, the Pickering Panthers, Aurora Tigers, and the Markham Royals. Obviously you being with Stouffville and Collingwood now, you have an understanding maybe on what they're going to be looking like if the season starts. Obviously, Collingwood has been playing scrimmages versus the Lindsay Muskies, and we'll touch upon them in the East Division shortly. But for the North Division and your team specifically, Joe, what have you been seeing?
So what I've been seeing, well, first we'll touch on Brantford. Birdie tells me they might be playing, and they might be playing a team called Collingwood. So they might be playing. I can't release that information yet. I'm not sure, but we'll see if that comes to fruition.
There you go.
You heard it here first. But for the North Division, Collingwood has made a lot of strides. I think they win that division, and you all know about Tarantino moving to Collingwood, and that's I think he's the best mind in the league. That's a great thing for the Collingwood Blues. And then they bring in Garvey as well, Cam Garvey. You all know him as well. So I think Collingwood is the best team in the division. Stouffville, a lot of moves they made. They now, Campoli is their coach. But again, with 3 teams being in York region, they're in red. So there's not a lot. If you look at their transaction pages, yeah, they're making transactions, but not many. The biggest transaction, in my opinion, besides Garvey and Tarantino, was, you mentioned it, was Mariachi going to Markham. And I think that's a big move. The biggest problem for Markham in the last couple of years has been their goaltending. And I know Alan can touch on that as well, as the goaltending cost them in that playing round last year. 2 bad goals by Rosen, and he was brought in the trade deadline. So I think the best team in that division is definitely Collingwood. Then it will probably be Stouffville and Pickering. And then Aurora, unfortunately, coming in last again. They brought in Dermot Anderson, but I don't think he'll help.
Yeah, that's the Aurora Tigers jungle hasn't been too gracious for them the last few years. It's unfortunate because they were looking good. I want to say 2-3 years ago. I mean, they had the dark guy, obviously, who's in Collingwood now.
Then they fired Chiquilo. When they fired Mario Chiquilo, it all went down. Chiquilo had that team firing on all cylinders, and out of nowhere, you fire the coach, bring in a guy that has no experience. They went from first to last in half a season. So explain that to me.
Wow, they did the opposite, there, and it's it's not good to see, and it's tough to explain, Joe. You're right. It's imagine that, you're firing really on all cylinders. Like Aurora was the jungle, and it was tough to play them. They maybe didn't have those, crazy superstars that you see in the league sometimes, but they were playing as a unit. The coach, like you said, had them right. And with that him being fired, I should say, that's when, stuff, went downhill. Yeah, Matt.
Sorry. I was with Mario in Milton before they were the Menace. And my understanding of the situation, just in his defense and the team's defense, there was some family things going. So they released it as a mutual split. The fact that we haven't seen Mario back in the league, I think, kind of speaks that there may have been some truth to that. I'm not in contact with Mario, but that's what I heard at the time. And, I just really hope that everything's okay with his family. And I just wanted to clarify that for anyone that's listening. Go ahead, Joe.
I know Mario personally, and Mario is a great guy. And
Go ahead.
He is having his own family issues right now. But we will not touch on that because I don't think he wants to make it personal and everyone to know. But he is doing well. But from what I understand, he still wanted to coach. But that's just me. That's just me knowing the situation a little bit.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Thanks, Joe.
I'm sure Mario's doing well, of course, as much as he can, and best of luck to him. But that's the business too, right? Aspect in a way where sometimes if the management is thinking that the coach maybe doesn't have their full attention to the team, even though he probably did and wanted to, but sometimes management thinks otherwise, they're going to make a change and they're going to make a move. And we've seen that, around the league. Alan, you've been around as well. I'm sure you've seen it also.
Yeah, and sometimes, people butt heads, even as successful as a team is, if the coach butts heads with, higher ups like ownership or GMs, and there's going to be a movement. Unfortunately, they can't change all the players. Sometimes the coach has to go. And, yeah, usually, as you said, Nick, when a coach gets changed, it's usually for the better for the team. They're struggling. They'll make it a run for it, but this was the opposite. And as you were saying, how hot things could change that quickly, I think with the playoff format going on, back to that for a moment, I think a quick series could benefit, like I said, a hot goalie is going to be. It might benefit Oakville. It might not. It's hard to say. It depends how a goalie is.
Absolutely. And I would say the benefit right now are to the 6 teams that are playing. And we're going to touch upon the East Division now. Collingwood versus Lindsay, Wellington versus Trenton, Coburg versus Whitby. They've had their scrimmages, exhibition, preseason scrimmages. The wording is got to be very careful on what they've been doing. And honestly, I know it means nothing. I know the games, are for the boys to develop. Let's film them and maybe send them to scouts if there's no season. But let me tell you something. The games have been tight. Lindsay has been winning games versus Collingwood. And Lindsay, I spoke to Jordan Sellinger with the Collingwood Blues now, and he said they're a much improved team. As simple as that. And it's good. And honestly, it's good to see, because I remember when I went to Lindsay last season or 2 seasons ago with the Blades, it was 12-1 Oakville, 9-1 Oakville. And yeah, great. Thanks for the call. But, that's tough ones to call, because even though you do want to win and you're biased the team that you're with, you also want a good Ontario Junior Hockey League game as well. And obviously, Joe can touch upon that a little bit with the Lindsay.
Yeah, I love to touch on that, because I think the first game I saw them play, I was like, whoa, who is this team? They were skating with Collingwood, and Collingwood is trying to improve. And I would thought they would have skated circles around Lindsay, but no. This team maybe will finish last, just because of the division they're in. But I think they're going to be competitive in Wellington, Trent, Whitby, and Coburg. It's not a win game anymore when they go into Lindsay. I think Lindsay's that much better this year.
Yeah, and obviously you have kind of a first-hand look at the Lindsay Muskies, you being with Collingwood now as the cameraman over there. And then obviously we move to Wellington, Trenton, 2 teams that, for the most part, are basically going to be good every single year, let's be completely honest, unless the wheels fall off the wagon, right? So that's where, you have to look at as well and see what can happen. For Wellington and Trenton, I think, to be honestly, we don't touch upon too much. It's the status quo. They got guys in. They're going to be good, and it's as simple as that. And moving on to Coburg, Whitby has gotten better a little bit, and Coburg now slowly struggling after obviously losing our boy Nicholas Aromaterio, the Italian stallion, the captain of last year. He's not there anymore.
Former Charger
as well. Shout out to Mississauga. They're not there anymore, but Looks like Coburg has slowly gone down. It's funny how this game works, though, guys, because Coburg won the national championship. Feels like a century ago, but it was a few years ago, and now they're not doing so well. So in my personal opinion, I would say that list, in order if their season would start, it'd be Wellington 1, Trenton 2, Whitby 3, Coburg 4, and Lindsay 5. But the Lindsay Muskies is not, or maybe even reversed. But the Lindsay Muskies, Joe, it's not 8, 7, 9, 15 points. It's now maybe 25, 27, 33 points. But that division now just got a lot tighter, didn't it?
And that's a scary thing. And that division is the toughest division in the league. And we won't disagree on that one because we all know that once Wellington, Trenton, Coburg are playing, and then Whitby's usually good. And if Lindsay can be good, oh my God, that division is going to be scary. That all 5 teams may make the playoffs.
Yeah, and if all 5 teams do make it, that's insane. Let's move on, guys, to, if any of you have been hearing anything about the return to play, please chime in. If not, we're going to go straight to your personal opinions on, is there going to be a season? Is there not? Up to you if you want to talk about it, because it depends what position you're in. Let's start with Joe, since we've been talking here. You think there's going to be a season?
Well, my personal opinion, and again, my opinions do not have anything to do with Collingwood, Stouffville, or the league.
Yeah.
This is my opinion alone. I don't think there will be a season. I think we'll continue to have exhibition scrimmage games until every region goes into red or lockdown, which I believe is inevitable, unfortunately, because of the pandemic we're in. But let's enjoy these exhibition games now, because I truly don't think there'll be a season, because I think it's unfair for the South and the West, who have not really done anything, to go into a season with teams in the East, and half of the North can't even play, with teams in the East getting a huge head start. That's not fair to anyone else.
Absolutely. Alan, yourself?
Yeah, I'm a little skeptical right now. I'm probably on the same wavelength as Joe. I don't know if there'll be a season. We're trying to get a drop dead date. I know Marty never said anything in his interview with you the other week. Like, when is the end going to be? Because, yeah, right now, as he said, none of the West teams are playing. Only 6 teams have played. The only reason Whitby's been able to play, because they're in Durham region, because they're playing other games in Coburg, which are under, I believe, the orange code. So there has been no games in Whitby because they'd be under the red, and that'd be 10 people on the ice. So they've been kind of a bit of a loophole, I guess, but they've been able to play because it's Coburg. But, yeah, unless we get better in the next month or two, I mean, we'll have to see what January brings. But I think if there's no real games for the Peel teams, the Halton teams, the Toronto area teams by the end of January, I think this season is probably a loss. And maybe, like Joe said, enjoy the games while we can of the teams out east. Maybe Collingwood, maybe, as he said, maybe Brantford might have a little bit of ray of hope to play a few exhibition games. But if we don't have any action by the 1st of February, I think this season is all for naught, unfortunately.
And the double max combined here at the bottom of the screen. Are you guys just simply on the same boat on there's probably not going to be a season? And if so, it is what it is, and let's move on to next September?
Yeah.
You want to start, Matt, or you want me to go? Okay, I don't know.
Rock, paper, scissors? No.
No, go ahead, Matty. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, I mean, we keep seeing numbers higher than they should be, and we're going to get Christmas numbers in there. Once we start playing, this is what I've learned from watching, the NBA had a whole ton of players with positive tests when they started their bubble. NHL had trouble getting guys in. MSL kicked out 2 or 3 teams before they did. Baseball had problems at the beginning of the season. So, even I hate to even think and say it that, we could expect some tests from our players once we start. I think if you put rules in place and say, okay, guys, now's the time right now to follow those rules if this is going to work. But, I just think that numbers are going to be what they are. And the Ontario government has shown that they're going to take those numbers and they're modeling very seriously. And like I said, Christmas numbers aren't included. Return to play numbers aren't included in that. And those would just be things that people would point to as red flags. So selfishly, I want a season because I use sports for a lot of escape from a lot of the things that are going on right now. But I just don't see that, there's a way that the government will let us do it. I think that there's Ontario hockey people. I think there's OJ owners who can make a strong case. I'm just, like we said before, it's in the hands of the government. And I've seen how strict they want to be with this. Believably so, when it's safe to do so, I'm all for coming back, but I'm just not sure that now's the right time.
And Matt, obviously, if we do come back, there could be no body checking. There could be a game misconduct penalty for holding. It is what it is. It is what it is. I think, guys, though, on a serious note, we would rather prefer calling and watching hockey than no hockey, in my personal opinion. Last time Matt and I were at the rink was March 5th, 2020 in Brantford, calling Game 4 of the playoff game for Oakville and Brantford, right? So we wanna get back on the ice, and we want to get back on. And Matt, I'm guessing you're in the same boat, right?
Yeah, I'm in the same boat as everybody else. Granted, if we do the whole bubble thing, no fans in the arena, just limited to players, coaches, camera crews if there are any, but then again, what are the numbers going to say? 50 people in the arena? What's like? That's the thing. There's really no point. There's really no point. You might as well just get everybody, free my hockey TV and let them go, right? Then watch the games and go down that road, maybe.
Hey, that'll be good. That'll be good for us, Matt. That'll be good for us. All of us here. Free hockey TV.
Yeah, it'll be good for all of us.
You got Joe, Matt, Alan, Matthew on the call. You got me on the call. We're good to go. All right, listen, guys. We're slowly running out of time here, but we can go on, I think, forever. But I know Alan does have to get back to work, so Alan can't go on forever right now. But let's get predictions. I'm gonna go from bottom to top. If the season gets going, we all predict our personal opinions that there probably might not be a season. But if there is, 2 teams, 2 conferences, who's in the final of the 2021 Buckland Cup final? If there's a season, down low, we'll start with you, Matthew. Just 2 teams, 1 and 2.
Oakville and Trenton.
All right. Caruk?
I was going to say Oakville and Trenton too. Call me a homer if you have to, but watch out for Milton. I didn't get to touch on their additions,
yes,
but they had about 5 really big pieces come in the offseason.
Yeah, and Matt and I were talking about that last week about the Milton Menace. They brought some pieces in, so watch out for them. So Oakville Trenton too. So we got 2 Oakville Trenton. I'm liking this so far. Alan, where are you going, Alan?
Well, I will be third time a charm for Oakville. I'll pick Oakville to come out of the Northwest, and I'm going to go a little bit different, not too much. It'll be a repeat of the last Buckland Cup we had. I'm going to say Wellington will come out of the Southeast. So I'll say Oakville-Wellington for the Buckland Cup.
Trenton and Joe, straight out, 2 teams. Who do you think?
Wellington, Collingwood.
Wellington, Collingwood.
Oh,
okay. So the Oakville Blades getting up, and for me, the Oakville Blades. Oh, that's not a surprise. And the man, I'll be honest. I like Wellington, Trenton, but don't sleep on the Stouffville Spirit, in my personal opinion. But Collingwood's good as well. But guys, we'll see. We don't know. But I want to say thank you all for coming on. I appreciate it very much. Joe Montesano from former Markham and Stouffville and Collingwood now. Matthew Ahmadzai, color commentator for the Oakville Blades. Alan Corkum for the Georgetown Raiders play-by-play, and Matthew Caruk for the Mississauga Chargers play-by-play in Milton Menace, PA. I'm Nicholas Fiore, the broadcast voice of the Oakville Blades. This was episode number 25 of Mamma Mia! This is Fire Talk. Thank you for tuning in. We appreciate your support. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and stay safe, and also, Mamma Mia!
Now Davis takes it and looks to come the other way. Davis is in, trying to drive, and he will look to go across. Good play to Davis, though, to get it right back to him. He goes down low to Israels. Centering, it's there. Score! Stevie! Stephen Whittle scores his first OJHL playoff goal for the Oakville Blades. This game is opening up in a big way for both teams. Ricketts centering, what a pass, Israel's breakaway, the move, scores! What a goal for the Alaska Fairbanks commit, the assistant captain, Harrison Israels, with an absolute dandy. Down low to Lyons, Jack Lyons centering, scores! The double jacks combine as that puck popped up like a jack in a box, and it's Jack Ricketts from Jack Lyons. 6-1 on the 40th shot of the game. It's all Oakville. Paulette Smith hits it in. A chance here can develop, but the Blades will look to take it. And Ricketts finds Israels. Breakaway Israels. A chance backhand. Rebound. Scores! And the Oakville Blades win it here in Toronto. Blades win, Blades win, Blades win.
That was Mamma Mia. This is Fire Talk with Nicholas Fiore. Thank you for watching and stay tuned for the next episode.